Good morning.
Morning.
Were you at the Century 16 movie theater on July 19th of 2012 in Aurora, Colorado?
Yes, I was.
Did that go into the early morning hours of July 20th of 2012?
Yes, it did.
Did you please tell the jury a little bit about what you remember from the day of July 19th?
Um, I was working at Red Robin in Aurora. I had worked a double, and it was my friend Alex Sullivan's birthday, and a couple of my friends, my coworkers from Red Robin, were going to go to the movies that night to see the Batman movie, and I had no plans of going. I hadn't bought a ticket, and I was working a lot. And then one of my friends, my coworkers, convinced me to go, and they had an extra ticket for me, so I decided to go to the movie. I remember. I'm sorry.
Sorry, go ahead.
No.
Who did
it's
you
okay.
Who did you go to the movie with that night?
I drove in a car with Chelsea Soblik and with Heather
And what's Heather's last name, if you know it?
Snyder.
What time did you get to the movie theater that night?
I want to say around 10:30, maybe. 10. I don't honestly even know what time the movie started. So, but we got there a little bit later than the rest of our coworkers.
What do you remember doing when you got to the movie theater that night?
I went in. They had already sat down. There was a couple of seat switches. I remember originally sitting in one spot and then switching seats with my friend Alex Sullivan. And sorry. I'm sorry. Excuse me. I remember going outside to smoke cigarettes. It was just a normal night, you know. And then I do remember when the previews for the movie started, we were all sitting down, and my friend Alex was really excited for the movie, and he did like kind of like a countdown. And I kind of remember being, well, now not really realizing that what we were counting down to. And that's basically it.
What happened during the movie that night?
I remember the scene on the screen. Anne Hathaway had just stolen something, and I heard this hissing noise like an aerosol can, and from where I was sitting, it was coming from the bottom left corner of the movie theater. I remember hearing somebody, because I never saw it. I just heard it. And I remember somebody from that area scream or yell, "What the F?" You know, we're trying to watch a movie. And then the next thing I know, I heard this very loud bang, and I immediately was hit in the legs. And my friend Heather, sitting next to me, was also, I assume, hit by the same round because she yelled out. And then I got down on the ground.
What happened as you got down on the ground?
As I got down on the ground, somewhere between sitting and getting down on the ground, I was hit in the face with another round, and I don't really remember. I do remember laying on the ground and spitting out teeth and blood, and my 4 front teeth were shattered. And I was laying on the ground, and it kind of went, we were all just kind of mangled up on the floor. And sorry. And I remember kind of laying on my side, and I was laying on my legs, which were in a lot of pain, so I tried to sit up to fix them, and when I sat up, I saw flashes from the gun go off. And it was then that I realized that it wasn't fireworks, and it was a gun. I remember Chelsea pulling me back down, and telling me to be quiet, and she was on the phone with the police, and she was trying to tie something around my legs to stop the bleeding, and and I remember laying on my side, and a bullet came through the seats, and it skimmed my back, and I was laying like on my stomach, and it came through, so I switched over, and I laid on my side.
And can you describe for the jury what your body position was like at that point in time when you had moved?
Yeah, I was laying kind of facing the screen on my side, and my legs were closer to the aisle seat, actually this aisle, and my head was facing that way.
So your head was closer to the left aisle if you're facing the screen, and
Yes.
your legs. And who were your legs closest to?
My legs were closest to Heather Snyder, and I remember kicking her in the hand when I was trying to like get comfortable, and my head was like laying on top of Chelsea and on top of my friend Sully's legs.
Could you hear anything in the theater?
Yeah, when we first laid down on the ground, it was really loud. There was a lot of loud bangs. Gunshots, and there was a lot of screaming. People running out, and then within a couple seconds, it got kind of quiet, and the only thing you could really hear were the gunshots.
Could you smell anything in the theater that night?
Yeah, I smelt my own skin, like the burning from the gunshots. I smelled blood and sulfur and smoke. It was pretty prominent.
What were you thinking?
That we were gonna die. It was kind of overwhelming. It kind of still is. And I just kind of remember thinking that those were the last.
Objection, Judge. 403 at this point.
Sustained. Next question, please.
What do you remember after lying on the floor, hearing the gunshots?
Eventually the lights did come on. I'm not sure at what point. There was like a faint alarm sound in the background. I'm not sure at what point that went on either. My friend's Chelsea was standing up, and she was yelling that we needed help. And there were officers in the theater. And they came running up the stairs. There was an overwhelming amount of like change in what was happening. My friend Chelsea and Edgar were ushered out of the theater. They were not as badly injured. Chelsea wasn't hit, and Edgar just had a small wound. And then I remember being placed from the floor onto the chair, and they wanted me to leave, and I didn't want to leave yet. I kind of was a little too overwhelmed to leave.
What could you observe about your friend's injuries while you were sitting in that chair?
In the front of me there were two girls, both lying presumably dead in their own in blood in a pool of blood, and then to my left was to my left was I'm sorry. My friend Alex Sullivan, and he wasn't moving, and his chest wasn't moving